In Greco-Roman culture, there was the idea of the pedagogue, or literally, child guide. The pedagogue would be a household staff person who was responsible for the education and protection of male children. He would accompany them to school, to public events, and act as a tutor for schoolwork and etiquette until the child reached adulthood, at which point he would be expected to behave fully as an adult. Hear the first two verses of our scripture again. Until the time when we were mature enough to respond freely in faith to the living God, we were carefully surrounded and protected by the Mosaic law. The law was like those Greek tutors with whom you are familiar, who escort children to school and protect them from danger or distraction, making sure that the children will really get to the place they set out for. Paul uses the image of the pedagogue to describe the Mosaic law in Greco-Roman cultural terms, something his hearers would have innately understood. For Paul, the Mosaic law, the set of commandments given to the ancient Israelites by Moses, is a pedagogue. It journeys alongside us, protecting us from danger and distraction. Though many parts of Deuteronomy and Numbers and Leviticus seem archaic, the law was designed to nurture a communal existence that was life-giving, grace-filled. In life, the law could tell you what to do, what not to do, and how to make up for doing the things you weren't supposed to do. Ancient Hebrew people loved the law because their lives were enriched by the guidance it provided. Because, as our scripture says, it helped people really get to the place they set out for. But Paul is saying that with Jesus' teachings and ministry, we are face to face with the love of God. Jesus brought people to a place where they didn't need to cling as tightly to the guidance of the Mosaic law. He brought them to a beautiful and generous place, where past distinctions are not nearly so important as present love, where there is no longer Jew or Greek, no longer slave or free, no longer male or female, but where we are all one. In the realm of God that Jesus is trying to bring about, values are no longer derived from the natural order. There is no stratification, no hierarchy. There are no privileged positions to claim. In Jesus, we come into contact with the love of God, and we are new creations. All that counts is being one in God. Our first claim of identity is as a child of God. And that is what I want to talk about today. In our day and age, identity relates to distinction, difference, uniqueness. So what happens when our identity is found in community, in uniting rather than in distinction? There's nothing special about you, and everything about you is special. Uniqueness does not go away. We have histories, heritage, pride, passions, but they have no value in terms of who's better. We're talking unity in terms of true diversity. Identity in God is about unity before it is about difference. Another way to say this is to talk about the difference between what is descriptive and what is definitive in our lives. We speak in terms of ethnicity, orientation, gender, passions, commitments, but what describes us does not define us. My name is Lauren. I love to garden. I hate doing the dishes. I have a spouse and 2 cats. But my spouse, cats, dishes, and gardening do not define me. They don't tell you who I am. First and foremost, I am a child of God, just like every single person here. First and foremost, we are children of God. Nearly every Sunday of my internship this past year, and my time here before that, one of the pastors has stood up here and said, "Welcome to McAllister Plymouth United Church, We are an open and affirming, more light, just peace congregation. We don't have all of the answers, but we try to ask good questions as we seek to discern and live out God's will. This is how we describe ourselves as a congregation. These are elements of what we believe, what we stand for. But these descriptors are not who we are. While I love that we say this every Sunday, I can't help but wonder, why do we open our service with what describes us rather than what defines us? In the scripture today, Paul is trying to get us to see that at the most fundamental level, we are children of God. We are God's family. We come in different shapes and sizes, histories. We come with many different interests, weaknesses, strengths. But first, we are equal members of the same family. So, if there is no Jew or Greek, slave or free, male and female, and we are defined first as children of God, then we are also not our addictions. We are not our mismanaged anger, or our money, or our clothes, or our political party, or we are not these things. Which also means that the person on the street who's asking for money is not defined by his or her homelessness. Dare I say it, the Tea Party protester is not defined by his or her politics. Tiger Woods is not defined by his adultery. As a community, we are not our session meetings or our programming or even our passions for peace and justice. What describes us is important, but not as important as what defines us. Why? Because while they are vital, the elements that describe us are also what can build labels and classifications and prejudice, shutting out those who are not like us.